And you are welcome. Now we are joined by Arese. She is a she's leading the charge in guiding young Africans as they start their journey to financial literacy. Now, the success of her first book, The Smart Money Woman, led her to a widely successful Pan-African book tour and spawned the Smart Money Woman television series, of which she is the executive producer. You are welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I haven't seen you in a while, and in that time you have blossomed.
Thank you so much.
Both professionally and in person.
Thank you. I'll take that as a very big compliment.
Yes, it is. Let's talk about your book. First of all, one thing I want to say about your book is that it is in high demand. Do you know how I know?
How?
I see it everywhere.
Aww.
Sometimes in unfortunate circumstances, because I hear and I know that it is also one of the most pirated books because of that demand.
Yes.
Now, you're going to tell us about the book, and then you're going to tell us how you managed that situation.
It was a very painful process, but yeah, we're getting through it. So the book, The Smart Money Woman, is basically about 5 African girls who have different like lifestyles, and it talks about like the pain points that they have with money, and it has smart money lessons at the end of each chapter. So people read the book, and even if it's a fictional story, they see themselves in the characters. Okay. So Adeswa, for example, is dealing with financial abuse in her marriage. Zuri has a spending problem. Tammy is a fashion designer that can't decide if it's a business or a hobby. And then we've turned this into a TV series.
Now, I wish that this was book review, then we would have gone really deep into the book. Yeah. But it's not the book review, so I'd really like us to talk about everything else around the book. Now, you have the television series, of which we've just seen the trailer. Now, that came from you writing that book. And when did you think that, oh, this has to be a series?
Okay, so the book is fictional, and when people were reading it, they kept saying to me, oh my God, Arese, I can see this as a movie. And it was funny because when I was writing it, I was imagining who'd play this in a movie, and Ostase Godaro was like my inspiration for Zuri. But I never really took it serious about turning it into a movie. And then I remember one time Kemi Adetaba was like, Arese, first of all, who wrote this book? Second of all, I think that it could totally be like a movie. And then we started talking about it, and she said, actually, you know what, I think you should turn this into a series because it will make more sense because of the way the book is structured. Yeah. So with the episodes, what we've done is it's a story format like the book, but it has lessons at the end of every episode.
Now, this is very interesting that you have lessons. Even in the book, you have lessons at the end of every episode. This is positioned to help people make smart decisions, is it? So it's not just a story for entertainment, it's also educative, let me put it so, to use a very pedantic word.
So it's financial education, but for millennial women, for African millennial women, because I found that with financial literacy stuff, prior to me writing the book, there was a lot of stuff about American financial literacy, British financial literacy, but this put our problems in context. So it's African, problems for African people. So a lot of people responded, to the book really well, which is why I think it became really popular.
Now, so I'm trying to think about your endeavors around the book and around the TV series. I'm trying to think what nuances led you to put together a book of such nature and then a series of such nature. You're not in the educational field. Are you in the finance field?
So exactly? I started out in finance. So I have a background in finance. I studied finance in university. There we go. And then I basically went through a series of University of Aston Business School in Birmingham, and UCL in London. See how my British accent's like.
Yeah, nah, she defends that there.
So yeah, like I was going through my own personal finance struggles, and I decided that I wanted to learn more about it. And in creating strategies for myself that work for me, I decided to start creating content for other women like me.
So why women?
Because I feel like we're the most vulnerable when it comes to these things. In Africa, boys are taught from a very young age that they're going to be providers, so they're more likely to be aggressive and take on more risks and have goals like, oh, I want to be a landlord. But women, even when we start making money, we're taught to be nurturers, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But being a nurturer sometimes means when you have the extra money, you're thinking, how do I make a house a home? How do I buy extra stuff for my kids?
That's different from the stories I've heard. I've heard women who own the houses they live in and their husbands pay them rent. But that's on the side.
Well, that happens. I feel like women are becoming more financially savvy these days. But we are still vulnerable when it comes to like the way that we think about money, because we think that it's a man's job to provide the assets that protect the family's financial future, and women become more vulnerable when they lose their husbands or their husbands leave them for other women.
I see why you'd say so. But then again, to go with what you say, women are becoming more savvy these days. For instance, I mean, Okonjo Iweala is, I mean, where she is now, and she is female. And then if you look at financial institutions, women are being given a chance to actually run these more these days. And you have to think that there must be something in their nature that makes them, that gives them a capacity to be able to handle these positions. But maybe in Nigeria, we haven't just been able to put that into play. We haven't switched on that light. And do you think your book does that for women? Does it light a light bulb on their head that goes ding?
Oh my God, one of the most fulfilling things for me when it came to like the journey of writing this book or turning it into a TV series has been the number of DMs or emails that I get on a daily basis saying, oh my God, Arese, Zuri is me. And I felt like I had an awakening when I read this book. Or Adeswa is my friend, and I feel like she's going through this. Or things like I've started a stock portfolio because I read your book, or I bought land, you know, because I read your book. It's a very fulfilling thing to say that something that you did that was just a small idea has such a big impact across Africa and not just Nigeria.
Can men learn anything from your book?
Of course. I've heard so many stories of men reading the book in the bathroom. Oh, my husband took it and he covered like the back and he's like, you know, reading it because he doesn't want to be seen as reading a pink book or a book for women. But I think that men quite enjoy it as well.
That's nice. That's very interesting. So we also get to learn stuff, guys. So don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Do go ahead and read your book and see the series if you have to. Okay. So where from here? We've got a series. We've got the book, which is doing fantastically well. You haven't told us about how you address the challenge of piracy.
Oh my goodness. So I'm still trying to address it. Piracy was a blessing and a curse in that it really sucks that you have this work that you put out that has this amazing reception, but other people are sort of monetizing it even more than you. So your intellectual property doesn't really seem to have any value, like in this part of the world. But it was also a gift because I went on a Pan-African book tour, and because the book was pirated, it meant that it had reached countries that I hadn't even been to already. So I would go to countries like Kenya and have an event with 200 women, and half the women in the room have read the book already.
Listen, it's mind-blowing that you from here, Nigeria, our humble Arese, has written such a book that's impacted so many people across Africa and the world, and we congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much.
We're going to keep talking about that, but I want to invite you over to the kitchen. But first, let's see that trailer again, and we'll be right back with Arese.
September 16th,
Yes, September 16th. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry, we've still got time. Let's see that trailer.
Okay.